Hey everybody, this is Jim Benson, the Viking Hobbit, coming back at you with a part 2 of my interview with Shane Hammock, one of the greatest powerlifters of all time, on his quest to become the greatest powerlifter of all time. And as always, if you have any comments or questions, just leave them below where you can leave them, and we'll try to answer them as soon as we can. All right, here we go. All right, so you're at Westside. While you're at Westside, I'm having to actually transition myself and change things myself. So, of course, Joe shuts down SciFit. I actually buy a lot of the equipment from him, and I kind of do my own thing. I take it to my parents' house. They got this 20 by 20 shed that they was actually letting me put it in and stuff. And of course, on bench nights, we went to a gym that was in Byron down there, because we had David and Devin and them, and we was trying to find a home for us. We know they come up from they're an hour away, so we wanted to meet halfway with them and stuff. So we found a place in Byron, and traveled to a few different places, in Warner Robins and Macon, and we did that on bench nights on Wednesday, because David was a bench only guy, and but on like Mondays and Fridays on leg days, it was for starters, it was just me by myself.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of times I even had to get my grandpa across the road to come trip the monolift for me and stuff like that.
Yeah, you're squatting 1,000 pounds.
Yeah, the fun nights.
What was interesting about the gym and that transition was that, I was at Westside, and you started doing, your own thing, and, had the shed at your parents' house, had the weights in it. And what really, I'll never forget, like, the logo. I'll never forget, like, you calling it, like, I don't have a name, and we think this name, and we think that name.
Yeah.
And, what about Dirty South Barbell? And you sat on the name for a minute, and
because actually
kind of took hold, because you was actually playing with a few names.
Yeah, and I know, especially because I spun Dirty South off of when me and my buddies used to ride foils a lot.
Right.
We were the Dirty South Georgia boys.
Yeah.
That's what we called ourselves. So I kind of spun it off that. I was like, Dirty South Barbell. Like, that actually works out pretty good. We're from the South.
Yeah.
We like to get dirty, down and dirty, and all that stuff. But and that's how it was. And then, of course, me being me, nobody took it serious at first.
Right.
But then I remember when I actually had the Gremlin made up, and actually put on the T-shirt, not the T-shirt, but the logo, and like even David, once he saw the logo, he's like, I actually like that.
Yeah, like that. Together.
Yeah, because even though, I can be goofy at times and do this and that, this is something I wanted to take serious,
Right.
And because I'm like, even though we was at SciFit I was at SciFit for 6 years. That story's coming to an end. Kind of create my own story with your help while you're up there at Westside. You helped me out learning this new system and how to train and stuff like that. And then slowly but surely, I finally started to get a little bit of help and training partners. And like Joe finally come in and started training with us, and that helped out a lot. And then finally started growing more and more and more. And then also while we was in Byron, we had the group of guys down there that they saw us lifting down there, and then they were interested in us and stuff. And then they actually approached us and wanted to be a part of us and stuff like that. And that was cool, because especially at the time, it was just a small group, and we didn't have that much help at times, especially if we was going heavy and stuff like that. So it was not, and it was new faces and stuff like that. So that it started to grow even more and more, and like that, which was nice too. And then we kind of established a certain thing going on, and then it was time for you to come back home. And then once you come home, you kind of you worked in with us. You had this, but you at the same time, you became a part of it. But at the same time, you kind of had this vision. We could, we got all this knowledge we're sitting on. Yeah, we're making ourselves better, but we could actually do something with this. And that's when we kind of started to sit down, me, you, and even Joe, like the nights at the Waffle House, staying up late, and we was like,
5 in the morning that one morning.
Yeah, and we're like, you know what? Let's do something with this,
Yeah.
and you know, take us through that. You know.
Well, what was interesting, what you can't see from my eyes, was that here's a metamorphosis that you've been through that I appreciate. You talking about the logo, you didn't want to do all this stuff. While he was doing all this, I was at Westside, and every time you told me something about Dirty South Barbell, I didn't think of it as a joke, but I was just like, all right, man, it's Dirty South Barbell.
Yeah.
You know, here we go. You got Dirty South Barbell. Here we are.
Yeah.
And then I watched as over time what was supposed to be some kind of joke all of a sudden had 20, 30 people going there.
Yeah.
And even though I didn't agree with the atmosphere, it was impressive the following that you were starting to have.
Yeah.
Because really, whether you want to say it or not, Dirty South Barbell really started out a band of misfits.
It was.
It really was a bunch of different guys. Not saying that anybody was particularly bad.
Yeah, yeah.
Just that everybody was a bunch of different guys from different walks of life. Very, very different people.
Yeah.
Very different people in a very small, confined space. I think that's one thing people cannot appreciate about Shed Days.
Yeah.
Was that, if there was 10, 15 people there, you had to be shoulder to shoulder with them for a few hours a night.
Oh yeah, and
like
especially trying to spot.
Yeah, it was close quarters.
Yeah.
And you had to appreciate who was in the room because they kind of had to help or get out of the way.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think people just can't appreciate that because even we said that the dynamic changed when we went from having 500 square feet to 5,500 square feet.
Yeah.
The dynamic really changed. But what was interesting to me was I thought the play, not that it was a joke, but that it was.
It was kind of just. It's my own little thing.
Yes, lighthearted. Here we go. Not a big deal.
It's my training, just with a name attached. I put a name with my training.
Right, and with the equipment and everything,
Yeah.
and I just was like, okay. And then I came home, and not only did when I was done with Westside, not only did it give me a place to come home to, like we actually had a platform to say, hey, what if we want to get serious?
Yeah.
What if we, because you had a following,
Yeah.
you really did. And what I thought was interesting was all that time goes by, and I come home, and we finally moved downtown.
Yeah.
And we make that transition, take that step out in the world.
Yeah.
And we do this out of love for what we do.
Oh yeah.
I mean, this is not something where we're thinking, man, I'm gonna be a millionaire tomorrow.
Yeah.
We do this out of pure passion.
I mean, because we could have easily stayed where we was.
Yeah, and saved a whole lot of money.
Oh no, my dad probably.
He would kill us by that.
Yeah, because his car's in there now. So.
Yeah, he would kill us by that. But it just was interesting. You see that happen. It was a joke at one time, and then I'll never forget the day you won. You went back to the place that you got injured at in Cincinnati, where you snapped your knee years ago.
Yeah.
And you pulled off winning the Pro-Am.
Yeah.
And the absolute crying shame of
they didn't have a gold belt.
Of that was that for one, you didn't get a belt. For two, that Louie and them had stopped being competitive enough to where honestly, if he didn't feel like they were going to blow through everybody, he wasn't putting money up like that. And Jesse has gotten to a point where he's not worried about putting up big money for anything. He just trunk slamming, going from meet to meet. That's his business. But the money had dwindled, and there was not even a gold belt. And you came back to the place where you got injured and pulled off the Pro-Am.
Yeah. And
I'll never forget somebody saying something to Louie, something like, "Hey, where's that guy lift?" And he's like, "I don't know, some place called Dirty South Barbell."
Yeah.
And the fact that Louie had to say Dirty South Barbell, what was supposed to be a joke.
Yeah.
Louie Simmons had to say it on a day of defeat.
Yeah.
Was a moment in time for me. Because even though that wasn't a day where I was victorious at all, because I bombed that day I tore my on the squats. Remember, I got my inner quad. I had a slight tear.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
I got to the second squat and I had to pull. And but that day you pulled it off.
Yeah.
And I hate they didn't have the gold belt for real. We all talked about that.
I'm just gonna steal yours anyway.
I know. Well,
I've been claiming them for years.
When I die, they're definitely yours anyway.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm gonna have them on at your funeral. Like look, I'm already claiming this as mine.
Yeah. Well, people will think that's morbid, but that's the kind of close friends we are.
That's right. I hate you.
But yeah, that was a moment for me because that was a huge transition, and not that, you know, the thing is, stuff is as special as you make it, and if you don't believe it's special, nobody's gonna believe it's special.
Yeah.
And if you respect our South Barbara the way you do, people are gonna respect it, and they do because we really put ourselves in this.
Yeah. Well, you know, I even remember when we first moved into the new place. You know, we went from a 20 by 20 shed to a 5,400 square foot building, and heck, we didn't even have the equipment to fill it up.
Oh.
And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, ooh, we're getting this is. I don't know if this is might be a little bit over our heads because this. I mean, I can't right now because everything we've bought come out of mine and your pockets.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
And then and other gym members have helped out over the way buying bars and this and that and stuff,
But
which has been nice.
It's a place of passion.
Yes.
It's a place where a bunch of people came together and said, everything in town is subpar.
Yeah.
When it comes to strength training, and it was and is.
Yeah.
And we decided to make a better place. And the people that stop by this gym and say, I don't have enough equipment.
Yeah.
When you break a world record, you can tell us what equipment to put in that gym.
Yeah, because I mean,
the world records are being made on that equipment in that gym.
When I first started, I had the monolift, I had a bench, squat bar, bench bar, the deadlift bar, and maybe like 1,000, 1,100 pounds of weights, and that was it.
Yeah.
And then we started, once we learned the conjugate system, the bands and stuff like that, I did so many exercises with bands.
Yeah.
And that's all we had there for a minute. And then we, little by little, I find like ads on Craigslist for this machine, used machine, and stuff like that. And every time I built up some money, I buy something new that I felt like I needed. Built up money, buy something new, and it finally started to grow. And then, like, even today, like, we have new stuff here and there, but most of it is used equipment that other people used before. Yeah. And then, you got these gyms around us that got all new equipment and stuff like that. But I feel like, even with what we got, we can still produce a better athlete.
Yeah, absolutely. And I had an interesting story brewing in my head. Oh, it was about while I was at Westside and you were still in the shed.
Yeah.
And the moment I started making enough money to buy anything extra, I started buying equipment. The first thing I ever bought was a Verse Hyper at home.
That's right, I remember that.
And I remember the girl at Westside office, I barely remember her name now, I think it was Janelle. And I never really liked Janelle. But anyway, she was asking me, she's like, why are you buying a Verse Hyper? I was like, well, I'm buying it, but I'm sending her home. And she was like, why don't you do that? You live here now. And I was like, well, I left my training partner, and this is something I have up here, and he needs this, and he needs this. And I remember Louis hearing that, and he told Janelle, like, it pissed her off, but he told Janelle to knock some money off of it, like knock the $100 he could off of it.
Yeah.
Or whatever. And they did, and he gave me it for that price. And I was just like, I appreciated it, and even though he knew that he wanted me there, he understood when I told him, when people would ask me, like, why, man, I felt bad for leaving home and leaving you where you were. Yeah. Like, I really did, but I felt like I was on this journey that was going to benefit us both in the long run. Yeah.
Like, well, then, as you, I remember you stated before in different things, Dirty South kind of basically formed from a need.
Yes.
Because I mean, you did your thing, and I was happy for you. But at the same time, I still had to train and do my thing, and then all the building up and the equipment and the learning and all that stuff, I needed, I couldn't just do it by myself. Right. So I needed people to help me. I needed training partners to push me. I needed equipment to make me better and stuff like that. And it started to grow from there.
You even just mentioned training partners, man. That's the number one thing about the gym is the training partners.
Yes.
No matter what place you go to, equipment's just equipment. It's a bunch of steel sitting in a room at the end of the day. The people you have surrounding that, the people that push you, the people that motivate you, the people that want to be strong, those are the people that make a difference, and that is what you're going to see. I think you see the most of at our gym.
Yeah.
I mean, you really do. That some of the characters in there, it really is a diverse group in there now.
Yeah.
And,
Well, I mean, we've made it to a point. Yeah, I mean, we still have our group, our powerlifting group.
Yeah.
But we've made it a dynamic to where pretty much like a commercial gym. We're not private.
Yeah.
But anybody that's serious about wanting to get strong, serious about wanting to better themselves, anybody that's like that, they're welcome to come there. Whether they train with us or train on their own, we'll provide them with what they need.
Yeah.
If they want our help, they're welcome to ask questions anytime, and we'll help them as much as we can.
And we have, I think the new guy Shane. He's an interesting story to me because he's not a particularly big guy, but he works at Geico. I'm not telling all his business, but he works at Geico, and he came to us, and I didn't know, when people come to us and say, I want to train with y'all, sometimes that's usually the average person is one night, whether it's through intimidation, which we don't try to intimidate anybody, but when you got a room full of guys and the worst dude in the room is deadlifting 500 pounds, and you go to a gym where seeing someone pull 300 or 400 pounds is a big deal, that really changes your perspective, and then you either rise to the occasion or you run from it. And a lot of people run, but he came to us, and he didn't run, and he jumped in and worked hard, and man, he's been with us, 4 or 5 weeks, and put an 80-pound PR on his deadlift.
Yes.
80 pounds, I mean, it just, we didn't do anything special with him. Like, actually, honestly, the way he was training, I really thought was subpar, because I just had not, nobody had taken the time to show him everything. But we were showing him the basic list. But man, just with a little bit of effort and halfway listening to what we said, he's making huge strides. And it's showing us that he's really serious about training hard.
Oh yeah.
And so now he's,
because it gets me excited to watch him get excited about me explaining certain things or talking about this and that and stuff like that.
Or watching his progress.
Yeah, watching his progress, or in any other kids and stuff like that. And that's what I think is pretty cool. But we also, we have this little motto: hang your ego at the door. Even though we don't, that's something we need to put up there. But we've had people come in that kind of got their butt hurt.
Oh, absolutely.
And it doesn't have to be like that, because we want to take whoever you are, whether you've never touched a weight in your life and this is something you want to do, or you're getting back into it, you've taken time off, you're getting back into it, or you've been in it a while, but you feel like you're missing something. It's time for a different step or whatever, a different group of training partners, a different environment. And that's one of the biggest things that people say when they come here is the environment that we have is awesome.
All come from people. All comes from people.
Yeah, and like we said before, if you want to be the best, you surround yourself with the best, and it's not saying that we're the best, but it's just what we believe in is what we can instill in you, and it's what we push ourselves and push to everybody else to be a part of.
Well, and we tread the line of, we don't ever want to say so much to sound like we're beating our own chest, but the truth is, if it comes to a Southern powerlifting gym, and I want to say in the world, because honestly, if you just put the lineup of me, you, and Devin in one meet, there's no other gym on the planet bringing that heat. I'm sorry, there's not. And Joe's been asleep, but Joe's waking up right now.
Oh yeah.
And
we always say that he's our sleeping giant.
Yeah, he's been the sleeping giant, and he's waking up. And when he wakes up, it's scary. I mean, Joe's a powerful man, and he's just now realizing how strong he actually can be. And the biggest thing about Joe is Joe's not scared. I have a healthy respect and fear for all weight that I lift. Joe is not. And
especially when he finally gets that confidence, it can
be to his detriment because he doesn't take his time. But at the same time, it's one of the reasons he excels so fast, because he's not afraid to put it on the bar.
And he's a guy that when he first started, he lifted in football back in high school and all that stuff, and took a lot of time off. When he come in, we always tell a story. He benched 185 and barely, struggled to get that. And now today, he's got a 700-pound plus geared bench and almost hitting 500 pounds raw.
Yeah.
I mean, just within a 5-year period.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, that's he's literally turned into one of the strongest men I've ever met in my life, and we've watched him turn into it.
Yeah.
We watched him going from 135 for a set of 10 on bench was killing him.
Yeah.
To he routinely reps 400 plus pounds nowadays.
Yeah.
On boards. Routinely, and throws around like it ain't nothing.
Yeah. But one of the things that's helped him out too is he's seeing how much we believe in what we want in this and what we believe in and how much we believe in it, and he believes in it too now, and he wants it just as bad as we do, and he believes in the gym, he believes in the training, he believes in helping others.
The lifestyle.
Yeah, the lifestyle.
That's right.
And he can feel it, and he's actually progressed off of it.
Yeah. And I think that's what we hope for everyone, but not everybody will take that path. But that's what, when you come to that gym, that's what in the end what we truly hope for you. We've had a lot of people talk about us and say bad things or negative things about this gym.
Oh yeah.
But the thing is, we've always invited those people to come train with us, and not in a sarcastic or ugly way. Hell, we've told most of them, hell, you beat me, I'll take you out for dinner.
Yeah.
And not in an ugly way, I'll take you out for dinner. I'll congratulate you.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's the kind of competitive spirit we have.
Yeah.
It ain't to say that, boom, I'm better than you. It's like, like it was like back in the day at SoftFit. I push you, you push me. If you beat me, I'm going to be the first person to shake your hand and be like, dude, that was awesome, but I'm coming for you.
That's right.
All right, I'm coming for you. Say I beat you. All right, you're the first person to shake my hand and be like, all right, it's my turn now.
That's right.
And we did nothing but grow and grow and grow.
That is exactly how many you went back for years.
Yeah, and it's just like, I got you, man, I got you. But we knew at the same time that, there's that level of respect there, and we knew it was nothing but for the good.
Right.
And we want to push each other and push ourselves at the same time.
Because, man, we spent so much time pushing ourselves, we'd show up to meets, and there would nobody be even close to us.
No.
Not even close. And we were kids.
Yeah.
We were just kids.
But and then at the same time, I also feel like nobody had that type of connective energy that we had too that we brought.
That's right. It was a unique thing, and that's what we want. We want to bring knowledge, science. I know all that stuff.
Yeah.
But we really want to bring that family element into it, and I wish more people just knew that we really just want your help. The only place I ever felt like I fit in the world was the gym, and it wasn't because it was a gym and I'm the guy who's like, oh, all these meetings out there where gym is life and all that. I'm not that guy. I don't relate to that.
Yeah.
I did all my growing in that place. I watched men talk about life and learn what it was to be a man through listening to real struggles from grown men while I was pushing myself to be the strongest human being I possibly could be.
Yeah. And
everything in my life is the pursuit of what I see as perfection. In my life, perfection is a functionally strong human being, as strong as possible, who is healthy, who lives a long time. That's perfection.
Yeah. Well, see,
as strong as you can be.
I remember, and like I said before in the other episode, watching you and Joe and how serious y'all took this, especially you, and saying things like, if I have a bad night at the gym, when I go to eat, I feel like I don't even deserve to eat this food that's in front of me.
That's right.
And it's stuff, hearing stuff like that is like, all right, that's some next level shit right there.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, that's where I want to be.
Right.
Because not a lot of people know, but I've never been a religious person. I've tried. It just isn't there.
Right. That's we differ in a very good way in that way.
Yes.
I've been chasing you most of my life, trying to change these things. But go ahead, Gene.
Yeah. Anyway, but I've always used strength to guide me through life.
Right.
Maybe not so much as a kid, but there was something there that just pushed me. And as I got older, I realized that I want to be good. I want to be better myself, the best I can be. And that's when I started lifting. I lifted in high school for football, and that's what got me into it. And then I realized I was pretty good at it, and then I actually quit football, and I got pretty serious about lifting. Of course, in Georgia, lifting is more football based.
Right.
So we did squat, bench, and power cleans and stuff like that. And then that's when I met y'all at Body Force that time, and then y'all introduced me to powerlifting and stuff like that. And then, of course, going back to the SciFit days, and then even today still, that mindset and the dedication and all that it takes to do this sport and lifting in general, lifting at this level and stuff like that. I feel like that it's taken my strengths and harnessed them into something that can be damn near never broken.
Right.
The unbreakable. And that's for that, I give lifting so much. I mean, that's so much. That's why I give lifting so much to me, because it has given me more than anything in life has ever given.
Right.
And
So if I took that, I know we differ in the area of religion. I know that.
yeah,
I try to live a good Christian life, and not always perfect.
yeah,
But in many deep talks with Louis, he would say, you need a master in life.
yeah,
And for him, he's kind of had the same answer you do, where lifting gave him all his confidence. He said the first time he ever played baseball, he was a little bitty kid, and he got good at it, and he realized I could do something. And then he said he started lifting, and he found, well, this is actually what I want to do.
yeah,
But it gave him his confidence, and it really gave his life its path and its direction. It became his master.
yeah,
And he actually believes that no matter what, you need a master in life. Because he was talking about samurais and Ronin. I think a Ronin is a samurai with no master.
yeah,
And he talks about, you have to have direction, all these other things. I think some people just don't understand. They look at, oh, he's just a big meathead who likes lifting weights. You're made of flesh and bone,
yeah,
like every other man out. That's why I tell some girl, say something to me about this or the other, and I'll say, listen, I'm made of what your boyfriend is made of,
yeah,
but I just choose to get up every day and fight.
yeah,
Like, I don't sit down, I don't rest. I go to the gym, I push myself, and it has nothing to do with being a gym guy or being a meathead, but I present that challenge to myself,
yeah,
that this is what it takes for me to consider myself a man.
yeah,
That I have to respect myself. This is about self-respect,
mm-hmm.
and I know we've always been eye to eye on that one subject.
Yeah.
That's what this is always. It's been about our own personal self-respect.
Yeah.
But it's given us for me, even though my religious walk has been hand in hand with my strength,
Yeah.
it allows me to speak to people. It gives us a platform to share the knowledge instead of people making mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
We can help all the people that would be making mistakes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an endless thing, man. It's a lot to say, but I don't know. I wish more people could see how cool being strong is.
Yeah.
That's my number one thing. You know what I mean? I've seen people tell me that this is the greatest day of my life. And they're like that, you almost got tears in their eyes after they deadlift 500 pounds.
Yeah.
And you sit here and you listen to a podcast and you say, well, that's ridiculous. He's just picking up 500 pounds. How can it be so special to him?
Yeah.
And the truth is, that's not what's so special. What's so special was all the hard work he had to do
Mm-hmm.
that amounted to the guy who could only pick up 400 pounds before.
Yeah.
Now picking up 500, this visible, tangible evidence
Mm-hmm.
that he has worked hard in the right direction. He is now a more powerful human being. That's a beautiful moment for anybody.
Yeah.
That's a primal moment in life.
Oh yeah.
That's a primal thing.
Well, that makes me think of what you said the other day about what Chris McBride said about the first time somebody hits 300 on the bench.
The first time a man benched 315. That's
Yeah.
right. He will always remember that day.
Yeah, because I remember I was in 10th grade.
Yeah.
I hit it right before Christmas break.
Yeah.
And of course I took that Christmas break off, didn't come back, or would come back to school, tried it again and missed it. But I remember that one day,
Yeah.
and it took me to the end of the school year to get back to it. Of course I didn't know what the heck I was doing as far as training goes.
You know, we're not saying anything about our numbers because I think we both try to be humble guys, but just a quick story about you talking about your raw bench and being a kid in high school. What'd you weigh when I met you?
I was
168 or 1
No, I was about 185 all through high school.
Okay.
But I was
okay.
from my junior to, my freshman to senior year, I was leaner, and of course, lifting more, put on a little bit more muscle. So.
Well, I remember you didn't look more than $180.
Yeah.
And you're 5'5".
Yeah.
And we were really.
Yeah, it's on my birth certificate.
Yeah, we were. Yeah, here. Yeah. we were really young, and I remember watching you bounce press 405 raw.
Yeah.
And you weren't a big guy, and you hit it. I mean, just hit it like it was nothing. And I was like, man, Lord, that's crazy. Like, just watching you do it with ease. And then I was like, but he's bouncing it, so he's not even going to be able to get close to getting it when we make him do it right, because he's going to have to pause.
Yeah, because I remember Joe saying, the first time you bounce this bar off your chest, you're out of here.
Right.
And he was serious.
Yes, he was serious. it was that serious back then. And me and Joe both had a bet on you that as soon as you went to bench, you were going to miss that 405. But man, it was one of the few moments in my life that I actually sat back and had awe for a moment of another human being, which was watching you come in. You took the 405 down, paused it, and pressed it. It was a beautiful press.
Yeah.
And you pressed it, and I remember me and Joe talking later on, being like, man, that's crazy. Like, we just knew there was no way you were going to do that.
Yeah. Probably my moment for you would be, I think it was that the John Groves meet that we did up there in Woodstock.
Yeah.
It's the one me, you, and Shane Hill, and Butch all did together.
Yeah.
I think, didn't you pull 615 that day?
Yeah, I think so.
Something like that.
After I hurt my knee.
Yeah.
My first meet back.
Yeah. And you pulled over 600 pounds, and I'm mid to high fives or whatever. And but even though like you was ahead of me, but you wasn't like astronomical. You're ahead of me. But even just thinking like, man, just watching you, you're a year younger, you're only a weight class above me, but it didn't deter me at all. I'm like, I was in awe at just seeing somebody so young can lift so much.
Oh, really?
And deadlift so much. And I'm like, man, that's cool.
That's interesting.
And then probably the second best moment was probably that meet in Atlanta we went to, where Mike Swank, Brian Carroll.
Oh yeah, man.
And watching all them stand there together, like, what is wrong with these people?
Yeah, that's a moment in time that you just can't. The cameras and everything weren't around, but didn't take pictures.
Yeah.
Like, we all had cell phones and stuff, but you weren't on your phone 24/7.
Yeah.
Like people are now. I mean, you literally can go somewhere. Well, I mean, they just do so many things now that you could be busy the entire time you sit there.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the entire time.
Yeah.
And but back then, like, we didn't have phones and cameras like that. But I'll never forget that image. And I remember watching Mike Swank bury that 1,000-pound squat.
Yeah.
And barely come up with it and fight the whole time.
It took him like 20 years to stand up with it.
Yeah, and but I remember watching him do that, and I remember in my head saying, "We can do this."
Oh yeah.
Like, they were pros, but I was like, "We can do this."
It was something about that meet, because even though we were serious about it, it's something about that meet that triggered me and you.
Yes.
It kind of just threw us in that next gear.
It did.
Of like, all right.
Because when we saw flesh and blood doing weight. While we do weight all the time, we saw flesh and blood, the other men lifting weight more than we were.
Yeah.
But they were just dudes.
Yeah.
They were just men. And seeing them in person and watching them lift, I'm like, they're nothing more special than I am.
Yeah.
We can lift this stuff.
Yeah.
And that was when we started making that transition to where we started talking about 1,000-pound squats.
Yeah.
Because back then we weren't there yet. But that's when we first started talking about, man, we're going to make that run for that.
Oh yeah.
Because we watched them, man, just watching them do it was just inspirational. Watching Mike Swank come back from almost missing that squat and coming up all the way with that. I've never seen anybody push, what do you want to say, push that hard for that long under that much weight.
Yeah. And it's one thing too. Yeah, that was scary. Those few times he visited.
Yeah, that's what squat.
But strong as hell. But moments like that is stuff I hope, and I think we have. I'm pretty sure we have with the young kids today. Especially like take Tim. He's come in. He's been in here a little over a year now.
Yeah.
He's made some good strides on everything. Just to hear him talk sometimes about watching the type of weights we do, and and some of the things he says, like, you know, just how you can just tell how in awe he is.
How much respect he has.
Yeah, and just in just that short amount of time, I think it's pretty cool that what those guys did for us that day, that we can do for somebody else,
right?
And have those moments and stuff, and that's pretty cool to be. And then hopefully it gets to the point where they can want to take it as serious as we do, and then make this their livelihood and stuff like that, and then be the best person they can possibly be. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, that's what we were given as kids, and that's definitely what I want to get back.
Yeah.
Because I never, what I was going to say is, I never felt like I fit in anywhere else besides where I could do this kind of work.
Yeah.
And push myself in my body. I never felt like I was complete unless I was sore or I was growing as a man, to become a strong man.
Yeah.
Because man, I really tell you, and not to be too deep on anything on the first podcast, but I think the first time I ever realized that you needed to be strong was, I think I was like 6. I might have been 8 years old, man. But my dad had grand mal seizures, and I remember we were walking to the gas station. I was like 6 years old, and he fell out in the middle of the road having a seizure. And I remember trying to pick him up and move him, and I couldn't move him. I just wasn't strong enough.
Yeah.
And I tried to do everything I could, and I couldn't move him. And I just remember thinking, man, I got to be stronger than this.
Yeah.
And for the first time in my life, I was that young, but for the first time in my life, I was presented with a situation where I physically failed to help somebody. And they were like, somebody would say, well, man, you were 6 years old. And my point is, it was the first time I had the sensation that I am not as strong as I should be.
Yeah.
It was the first time that I was like, okay, there's got to be a way to be prepared for this moment.
Yeah.
And not that I always feel like, every time I'm training, I'm doing that, but there is something that primal that you are preparing for things of that nature while you train this hard.
Yeah.
Because you are changing as a human being.
Yeah. And I'm sure probably not everybody, but a lot of people have those certain moments that kick in for them, and it's like, all right, strength is where I want to be, or where I need to be, and stuff like that.
I think every man on this planet should want to be as strong as possible.
Yeah.
Even just being as healthy as possible as you can for your kids or your family. Like, why say, I haven't done anything in 10 years, and the doctor is saying I got to go on all these pills, or I can just start, lifting and turn my diet around.
Yeah.
Why would you not take lifting and turn your diet around?
Yeah.
Why would you start taking pills and almost, in some way, to me, in a way, say I give up?
Yeah.
You may there's some things you can't fight, but there are a lot of things you can. And 85% of your health, I don't care who you are, 85% of your health is dependent on the food that you eat.
True.
And it's the nutrition you put in your body or you do not put in your body every day that determine your health. Only about 15% of what you can or cannot change is genetic.
Oh yeah. And then you talking about nutrition and stuff like that. It's amazing. I've said it before between us. As I grew as a lifter, because I grew up on a farm. We always cooked pork and fried everything, the country life and all that stuff, and which it actually, to an extent, it benefited me a lot because I ate a lot of meat. I was fed real well and stuff like that, and that's what Joe always thinks that it, helped me make the strides that I did because because of the food I put in my body. But it actually got to a certain point where I had to get smart about what I was eating, and as I grew and I changed, my body changed too, and actually started to let me know, be like, all right, this is what it needs. I'm craving this. And I remember one of the biggest things that made me realize this was I used to love the Wendy's triple cheeseburger. I used to kill it, but and of course it was greasy and all that stuff. But it got to a point to where after I ate it, about an hour or two later, I just felt like crap.
Yeah.
And my body just started to shut down.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, all right, it's time to let that go.
Yeah.
It's time to eat, and of course, I have the diet of a child. I eat Pop-Tarts every dang day, which are amazing.
Yes, I know.
Pop-Tarts are amazing. Get you some. Anyways.
I didn't plan to say that. It's just going to say it.
Yeah, Pop-Tarts. That's my secret, by the way. 1150 squat Pop-Tarts. But and even recently, the other day, probably a couple of weeks ago, I was helping my mom do something, and she was like, "Go get us some tacos from Taco Bell." You know, just because we were doing something and we were getting a little hungry. And went and got us some tacos, and you know, they never really bothered me before. It's just tacos, and I ate them. And a few hours later, I'm like, my body started talking to me. It's like, you know what, you shouldn't eat that. Yeah. I'm like, all right, that's something else to scratch off the list. You know, I don't need to eat something like that. And then, so it's lifting has definitely made me change for the better in so many ways, especially when it comes to diet. Even though I definitely don't eat the best that I should, but I've definitely improved so much from it.
And I think, especially people. Not saying that all people need to really lift heavy, but when you train, not just lifting heavy, but when you train, you mature as a person, you mature as an athlete, and you start to learn that your body's asking for certain things from your diet. Yeah. And I think maturing as a person or becoming a complete person is mastery of oneself, and knowing how to grow, and knowing how to be healthy, and knowing what your body needs in particular. I think is essential and crucial in having a long and happy life where you're not depressed or overweight or whatever you don't want to be. You can literally change with how much you exercise or And it was funny, majoring in psychology at VSU, and you go around the world and say, man, what should we do for all these depressed people? So many people on what was the statistic in college? 90% of all medications prescribed in America or for psychosomatic things, which means that everything they have to do with people say like depression and stuff like that. And anyway, an outstanding amount, which I think is like 85 or 90% of people on depression medication, stay depressed. So it means I don't know why anybody would take them if you're going to stay depressed and they have a host of side effects. Anyway, you can say, what should all these people do? And where's the answer? Well, every study that I ever heard of that had to do with nutrition and exercise and the treatment of depression had a 98% cure rate, and 90% of the people that they studied that were very depressed people that they put under a strict diet and a strict lifting routine. When they were done, when they did that together for I think it was like 3 months or whatever, 90% of those people never dropped it, and most of those people never needed depression medication again. And so you look for the answer of what's the number one cure for depression? It's actually diet and exercise, and people think that's a cop-out thing to say, but you can read every article in the world and you're still going to get back to the fact that you need to get off your tail and do something. Like there's just no getting around it.
And then put something good in your body.
Put something healthy in your body. And that, like I said, pushing yourself and pushing your body, you will start to recognize my body doesn't like that. Like you put that, like you said, you put those things in your body, like no, that's not what we need. And you feel it's that loud sensation. But see, people who don't train never understand that. And one of the reasons I can tell you this is when I got hurt. I noticed that 6 months of not training. After I tore my tricep, my body did not respond to protein the same way. And in fact, I did not crave protein the same way. Like I didn't even want to take in protein like I do when I'm training hard. And I thought it was crazy that I didn't even have that small inner voice saying, hey, you need this. But man, when you're training hard, you feel it. Your body says, you better pick this up. We got to put this thing in us. And it's, but that's just part of maturing as an athlete. But I think really not an athlete, maturing as a human being. That you learn those things.
I think of course, the training, the discipline, of course, and then nutrition, the change of everything, it's definitely made me grow as a human. And definitely help me become who I am today. But one thing I want to talk about, back in, was it September, you had a setback with your tricep. You was benching that day, and then boom.
Close grip. Yes, sir. Just come back from a trip where I was Supposed to be giving a seminar. I didn't really turn into that, but supposed to be giving a seminar. And I basically spent most of that day at that seminar doing my triceps. And came back to the gym, and I fell into what I talked about earlier. Mature athletes never fall into. It's the peer pressure of jumping into training with y'all.
Yeah.
When I knew what I'd done to myself, I knew how tired I was.
Yeah.
But I knew that I probably was coming off with someone who never trains around y'all because of being on the road and doing stuff like that. So I wanted to jump in and I wanted to train with y'all. But I felt fine. Just my elbows were hurting. Mm-hmm. But you know how many times we've said.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
My elbows have hurt 1,000 times.
Yeah.
And nothing's ever happened.
Every day.
And so we went up to what? I got 475 that night, and then I think I went up to 495, and I dropped it and hit it real fast.
Yeah.
And you were like, man, you're still just dropping until you more because I was worried about my pec.
Yeah, I'm about to say at the time you was worried about your pec tearing because you was having a few problems with it.
Yeah, and so then I said, you know what, let's take it down to 450 and we're going to start back up slow.
Yeah.
And I'm going to control it every one down. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to put the brakes on and I'll push it up. So I did it on 450, it looked better, it pushed better. I did it on 475, did it on 495, went up to 505. And
had
about
525, wasn't it? Oh, you went 505 first.
I went 505 first and didn't have a problem, but I did notice that I pushed it slow.
Yeah.
Like I was trying, but it was moving slow. Yeah. And normally that, off that board, normally that don't move slow.
Yeah.
And anyway, then decided to set a PR, and that's when I hit the board, and I was like 3/4 of the way up, and I felt like somebody just pulled a root out of my elbow. I mean, it's the word. I cannot describe how bad that pain was.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way, nobody could have told me you can go to that and still be alive.
Yeah, because
it's that bad.
When my knee blew out, I mean, that's like, you've had cuts and scrapes and stuff like that growing up, and
I've had small tears.
Yeah, small tears. I broke my pinky during football one time.
Yeah.
Hamstring tears and stuff like that. But that was something that it's even hard to put into words.
Yeah.
The experience.
Having that catastrophic event take place, because your body doesn't forget it.
Oh yeah.
Your body does not forget what it went through. Mm-hmm. And the interesting thing about your injury is your injury was so bad that it scarred everybody. In fact, I mean it did.
Yeah, that was a bad day.
Literally, I think even after you were back to squatting, most people were still nervous that you were squatting.
Yeah.
While you were trucking along. Yeah. You were back up to squatting 700 pounds.
Yeah.
And it was just like you were on your road back, and nobody could say anything. But most people were nervous.
Yeah. Well, and I have to say, watching you make your progress and stuff that you've been doing, you've been doing it right, you're doing it slow and stuff. But every time you get on the bar, it makes me nervous.
Yeah. Well, it would make me nervous too.
Yeah. But and this is something we talked about before, talking about the night you got hurt. I kind of, I went through the same thing. When it happened, everybody kind of freaked out, but it was a tad bit different for me. I told you this before. It was, it hit. We got the weight off of you. I made sure you was okay, even though you're hurt. You're hurt. You got hurt. You're in pain, but you're overall you're okay.
Right.
You're not going to die or something like that. And it was a kind of a sense of like I calmed down some and was able to assess everything. Yeah.
Well, you had been through something, and I'd say more traumatic, but just say you had been through something very traumatic, and you really, honestly, you had enough gristle on you to say, okay, I know he's hurt, but is he okay?
Yeah.
And you knew I was okay.
Yeah.
You just knew I was in an extreme amount of pain.
Yeah.
And but that's something you get with the experience that you've had.
Yeah. And it just my first, put ice on it. Let's get you to the hospital. Do all their 5,000 tests that they got to do.
Man, that was crazy to me. The fact that I have, I'm not gonna say limited knowledge of the human body. I would say I have extensive knowledge of what I can remember about the human body because I have a memory. But going into the ER, and I was holding my forearm because, I mean, I just ripped my tendon off the bone and I knew it.
Yeah.
And I did not want to touch my arm or my tendon.
Yeah.
So
So
I was
you was
grabbing,
holding
yeah, I was holding my forearm. I was grabbing my forearm, and I was pouring sweat. And even I rode Tim's truck on the way there, and I almost passed out from blood loss in my arm, being in the truck. I never felt that before.
Yeah.
I never felt.
And
I
it's
never
not
come close to passing out before.
and that ain't an external blood loss. It's
No,
just
this was internal.
Yeah,
This is my arm swelling up like
Yeah.
a water balloon.
Yeah, because I remember, I mean, your arm's already bad as it is, but I've never seen it. It literally looked like you had and it was growing.
Yes.
As time went on,
Yes.
it almost you looked like you had a softball
Yeah.
inside of your skin.
It felt like when they pulled that tendon out.
Yeah.
It felt like it just uncorked this huge blood vessel.
Oh yeah.
That was just pouring into my elbow, or into
And
my
by the
arm.
time we got you, home and stuff, like I said, it was huge.
But yeah, that going in there, and I literally had to argue with them that they needed to scan my tricep or my elbow because I knew what had happened, and they were ordering everything from my forearm, and I had to literally tell the doctor to come in there and put his finger at the base of my elbow and show him that I didn't have a tendon for them to listen to me.
Yeah.
And it's like I told every medical professional after that, it is insane to me that I'm sitting here telling you exactly what is wrong. And I had to argue with a team of doctors and whatever, when I literally can show you in 2 seconds what is wrong with
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
But you weren't trying to listen to that. It's just crazy, if I didn't know anything and people, wheelchaired me in there and they said, well, just let us do our thing. I can't imagine how long it would take for them to figure out that it wasn't my forearm.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. That's just that's sad to me. There's a lot. If I have a few fights in this life, it's the medical field in general and how they prescribe opiates for pain.
Yeah.
What they actually do in this country, and then it would be how high school athletes are trained.
Yeah.
That's one of our biggest fights, man. The kids that we train have no idea how much further ahead we try to put them than anybody else around here.
Yeah.
With the way that we train them.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because you got I cannot believe the stories I hear of what is being allowed in schools, which I actually think. How can I put this? I actually think what they're allowing in some schools to be weightlifting programs is complete neglect of human health and safety, and that these schools really shouldn't be allowed to get away with putting out programs.
All they want to do is just run them to death.
Well, they want to run them to death, and then if they're not running to death, they don't require them to train at all.
Yeah.
And if they don't train at all, you get the kid with no base going into hardcore training where they're immediately going to get hurt, or they're going to adapt and burn out.
Yeah.
That's really their two choices.
Or get on the field and tear something.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, going right back to injury, and I just, they have no base. I got kids coming to me telling me, oh, well, we don't lift weights for 6 months out of the year. I'm like, what are you talking about, man? It takes a month of training to get you back in shape to start getting strong again.
Yeah.
You can't just jump back into it. You cannot just jump back into it. I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
And I don't know. You just see so much neglect, and so many people so far behind on times. And then you have schools come to us for training information on how to train football athletes, and they tell us that they kind of follow the conjugate or Westside method of training, and they boast almost a 0% injury loss.
Yeah.
And then the schools that don't train their kids right, huge injuries all over the field in every sport. And you're just like, man, injuries come from weak people.
Yeah.
Weak things break. And when you talk about the NFL, the NFL big step from high school football, but big strong people hurt big weak people.
Yeah.
That's why some dudes played in the NFL for 10 years, and most dudes played it for 1 to 3.
Yeah.
But
and then of course, you got some injuries that's just going to happen out of the nature of football.
Sure.
Being blindsided.
You can't stop it all.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of injuries that happen with their knees, their hamstrings, and their backs, and really their upper bodies and their shoulders that could have been avoided.
Yeah.
I mean, they just absolutely can be avoided. If you got a kid running around the field who has done no weight training at all, he's not prepared to take the first hit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've got to harden up. There are people out there that train very hard for high school football.
Yeah.
And if you're not trained and they hit you, it's like a truck hitting a child.
Oh yeah.
You know, and that's, you know, yeah, you can't prepare for that because you didn't train to begin to prepare for a normal person, let alone the athlete who can tear you a new one.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know. That's just two big struggles I have. But that stuff. You know, we may never be able to change the medical thing.
Yeah.
But in this area, I hope that we can really educate people on what it takes to actually improve an athlete.
Yeah.
Because you just the same old lingo, man. It's like it's a joke when people tell me I got a personal trainer. It's just a joke, man. Like they tell me what these people do to them, and they tell me like big money personal trainers out of Atlanta.
Yeah.
Some of their people will end up coming here like for a day or two,
Yeah.
and they'll be like, man, they never showed me this, they never showed me that, they never told me this, and we're working on the basics, not even a conjugate method trainer. I'm working on the basics with these people,
Yeah.
and these high dollar trainers in Atlanta aren't even showing basics to people. They're just sitting on the phone texting all the time while they take their money. And I hate that there's even a rap out there for people like that. And, there's just so much to teach. But we've stayed quiet for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because we've always wanted to, because we've always been students.
Yeah.
And we haven't felt like telling everybody, hey, we know what we're doing, but the truth is we do.
Oh yeah.
And we've shown it over and over again to every person that comes in there. And that's what I hope this place becomes all about.
Oh yeah, and we're definitely going to have many more episodes where we pick a certain subject and we're going to break it down to what we feel like.
We're going to lay some knowledge.
We're going to lay some knowledge. Everybody get their number 2 pencils. We got on the school, son.
That's right.
Anyway, but talk about that. Your injury, you get hurt. Like you kind of know, even though this is your first major injury ever, you already, because of what we've been instilled in us and what we learned, you kind of already know step by step what you got to do to get back where you're at. So, and you took your time, you took your rest period, the very first rehab stuff, with doing your tricep push downs, or not even that, just the movement.
Yeah, just trying to stretch my elbow.
Stretch the elbow, even trying to. It was a task to get you to touch your face with your thumb.
That took over a month.
Yeah. Just to be able to touch your face.
Uh-huh.
You went from that, then you finally started doing your tricep push downs with a very light band, and then hitting those like you're supposed, a lot, getting the blood flow back in there. We finally got our massage therapist back, Gary, and he's wonders. Any type of injury, I highly suggest finding you a good massage therapist that knows what they're doing, knows the body. It definitely, having Gary definitely helped me make strides and come back from my injury.
Oh yeah, I can't. I forgot after I went to the doctor and they put me back together. I pretty much didn't go back.
Yeah.
And I've been pretty much just using Gary as my template.
Mm-hmm.
And man, he's taken my recovery time and cut it in half.
Well, mine too, cause my situation, I went through the therapy program. At the hospital and stuff, and I was a little nervous at first, but everything it was giving me, I was actually flying through.
Right.
I was like, all right, what do I do next? What do I do next? And the biggest thing was mainly just my full range of motion in my knee, and this and that. But then I got to where I'm just like, this ain't working.
Right.
So then that's when I started doing the sled pulls, the leg extensions, leg curls. The massage therapy. When I started incorporating all that, that's what made me leaps and bounds in my recovery. Okay. And because massage therapy, leg extensions, your salt baths and stuff like that, getting control back over my muscles, making the tendons stronger and stuff like that. That's what made.
What's crazy too, as much as we say this and we preach this, you can't give that knowledge to people, even if you try to give it away.
Yeah.
You can't. And you're sitting here telling people, you literally will sit here and tell people, this is how a 242-pound man squatted 1,150 pounds years after one of the worst powerlifting accidents I've ever personally witnessed.
Yeah.
And an accident where, most doctors will say, you don't ever need to squat again.
Yeah.
You're definitely never going to be better than you ever were. And it was 10:15 or 10:10 that put you down?
10:20.
10:20.
Yeah.
It was 10:20 that was on the day of the accident, which
Yeah.
was on the day of the accident. Anyway, and then you come back to squat 1150.
Yeah.
You're sitting here sharing the info, and a lot of people aren't going to take heed of that, but I just think that's sad. I think that's sad, but I think that's a part of, that's a generational thing.
Yeah.
Because everything is so instant nowadays, and people they want things so fast, and there's so much to read from on the internet.
Yeah.
It's impossible for the average person to know who to listen to.
Yeah.
Because it takes somebody $100 and a few hours to have an opinion online.
Yeah.
And most of those opinions are exactly that. They're opinions.
Yeah.
Unless the person talking to you has produced a serious athlete, is strong themselves. No, you know what? I'm not even going to say that. I'm not even going to say this serious. If the person that is teaching you is not, if you're looking for a strength coach and you got someone teaching strength who has never tried to be strong in their life and they are not strong, I'm sorry, you can't know anything about teaching anyone how to become strong. You can know all the book knowledge in the world, but if you don't know what it's like to walk the walk,
Yeah.
you can never tell an athlete how to get there.
Yeah.
I don't care who. I've just seen it 1,000 times with some, real small guy.
Yeah.
Went to college, got all the education that he thinks he should have got,
Yeah.
and which I completely disagree with, and got all the education he thought he should have got, and then he'll start teaching people what he thinks makes people better,
Yeah.
and he'll do it, and even if it doesn't work, they'll just keep doing it, and
Yeah.
it drives me crazy. If it's not working, if they're not getting better, you're wrong.
Yeah.
And I've said that about me or you or anybody at the gym. If we're telling somebody to do something and they're not going to get any better, we're wrong.
Yeah.
You know?
We're missing something.
Yeah, we're missing something because you get better that fast.
Yeah.
You're either improving or you're not.
Yeah.
And that's how it
and we've had that before.
Yeah.
Even like using the conjugate system, especially trying to learn it and all that stuff and figure it out, and it's different from person to person. We've had people stall out, but then that's when we have to, and we hope that, like especially the young kids and stuff like that, they start to learn their self and be like, all right, I'm missing something.
Right.
They might come to us and like, help me figure out what I'm missing. Like, all right, break down the bench or the squat or deadlift. All right, you're missing this. This might look weak, so we need to add a little bit of this or take away this.
Sometimes it's drastic.
Yeah.
Sometimes changing something little makes a big deal on people.
Oh yeah.
It's all dependent on the person.
Yeah, and even even you, and I know I had to do it, but I'm sure you've had to change midway on certain things on your rehab and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I benched, did that board press last week.
Yeah.
Or 2 weeks ago now.
315.
It was 315, and this week went 185, and it was very painful again. So instead of pushing it again, I decided I'm just going to do accessories, and I'm going to leave it alone because the truth is, in that same week, I had gone from not ever benching anything to I benched 315, which was healthy, and then and I pulled 765, so I had a 315 push, and I had 765 of pull on me, and by really that Monday or really that weekend, my arm was trash. I mean, just coming back from where I come back from. So I've just noticed. Okay, I want to make it to this meet, so I got to take the gas off the bench press just a little bit.
You got the Arnold Expo coming up.
Yes, sir.
The XBC deadlift. Was it the deadlift?
I think they call it 21 guns.
Yeah, the 21 gun salute deadlift. You get geared up for that.
Yes, sir.
Getting ready. You 765 Friday.
Last Friday.
Yeah, last Friday because you did the pull with bands. Yeah, Friday. All right. Look, you smoked it. It was just in briefs. You still got your suit you got to put on.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that going into it?
All thing I'm ever nervous about, I never fought that crowd, but all thing I'm ever nervous about is my hands.
Yeah.
All thing I ever worry about.
Well, just eat some salt. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I will definitely do that this time. But I feel pretty confident in my body hold together. I think I can open up like 835, and I'll probably try to go straight for a PR, like a 905. And if that goes, I'm just going to go for something like 940.
Yeah.
My 940 would be the biggest deadlift in American history.
Sumo or just?
Period.
Oh, period.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how much we're usually behind Europeans in deadlift. But we usually have to bench press. So, anyway, but yeah, that'd be the biggest deadlift in American history, and I'd really love to have that. That's Gary Frank's title still.
Yeah.
And I would love to have that title. That's one of my all-time heroes.
Yeah.
And I I would love to have my title just for that. I mean, I want more in the future, but right now with current grip and strength, and I think my grip's going to be on point. But right now with current grip strength, I'd love to pull 940. It'd be a fantastic day.
I've seen you pull 9 before.
Yeah.
Awesome. I've actually. What's the most you pulled in the gym?
It was off 3-inch. It was off.
You pulled 950, right?
Yeah, I pulled 950.
I remember you pulled
3-inch block. And that was a minute ago.
Yeah.
That was a minute ago, but yeah, that was 950 on 3-inch block. That was when I was really cooking.
Yeah.
It was hammering my deadlift, and it was really on the rise right before my grit started dying.
Yeah.
But we figured that out. Hopefully now, we'll see.
So you got this coming on, the meet coming up, and you focus on it. But where do you see yourself in the future?
Well, man, the WPO is right around the corner.
Yeah, everybody is buzzing.
Everybody's buzzing on the WPO, and I want to be a bigger part of that as I can be, and I want to push powerlifting to everything it can be. But I do see myself in the next 5 years, always keeping my focus on powerlifting, but trying to go pick up some of the money from strongman.
Yeah.
And that's, I know a lot of people are going to say, well, man, you're short and all that. I don't want to hear it, man. If I want to do it, I'm going to try to do it.
I don't know. We just saw that 410-pound stone.
Oh, yeah. Well, I do know there's going to be, from watching that documentary, Born Strong, what I thought was fascinating about it is Struna Savickas, who is arguably the best strongman of all time, strategizes. And he'll talk about how he takes part of the events. They have 6 events, and he knows the events that he can be best on, and he knows the events that he should take home to win, and he knows the events that he can kind of get by in. And I do have a great disadvantage being under 6 foot tall and not being 400 pounds. But also with that plan, like right now I'm about 297, and I'd love to say I'm 300 pounds all the time. But I'd love to be 320 this year, and then by the next year I'd love to be about 340. I really want to make a run, put on some serious mass, and compete with anybody I want to.
And so, I know your all-time goal ever is to be the strongest powerlifter there's ever been.
I want the biggest total of all time.
Biggest total of all time. Mine is to be the greatest 242 of all time, to have the biggest total there. I was able to attain the squat 2 years ago. If I could put my best numbers together, and because I know I'm able to do it, I've done them in the gym, but if I can put everything together, which we know is the hardest thing to do on meet day.
That's for sure.
But if I can put all together, 2,700 pounds at 242, I know I'm able to do it. It'll be an amazing day. And then once I set that goal, I kind of want to, go into the dark side for us and go to, I've done 2 raw meets. But a little bit more on raw and try to go for that raw squat record of 900.
And I understand. I understand. That, I actually think as soon as you accomplish your goal, I think the raw goal will be nothing.
And it's not, and it's definitely, and of course, me and you both not saying we're just going to completely stop competing in gear or powerlifting period. It's just we've spent so much of our life going after this one thing. If we attain it, of course, that's one thing we say about what's the greatest thing about powerlifting. There's never, you got your Super Bowls, your World Series, your World Cups and all that stuff. But when it comes to lifting weights, there's always more weight to be lifted.
Right.
Always more weight.
There's always another battle.
And but having them, if we ever get them goals like we want to, it'll open us up to where let's try something else for a while, see if we're good at it. All right, let's venture into this, and then not staying away from this, but just try something new.
Well, we see that usually when people bring us toys to play with, that we're usually extremely efficient at it. I mean, what was it? On the tire deadlift, you pulled 900 the first day you ever played around with trying to do a heavy strongman deadlift. You pulled 900 on that tire deadlift.
It was. I think it was nice. Of course, I used. I went till my grip gave out, then I put the straps on, and I got up to 950. And it was pretty good. And then I went over to the log one day, and that damn thing kicked my ass.
Right. That's how you build, but that's you just see that we spent all this time, but you see that web of strength that we talked about. You spend all this time just doing powerlifting, but you pick up something like that, you see that you're extremely proficient. And I understand. I don't think I'm ever gonna have a day where I'm done with powerlifting, but I just know. I know there's only so many of those meets you have in.
Yeah.
And when I'm not talking
Well,
about the normal meats, I'm talking about what it takes to put that one.
the
of
big
those
num,
meats,
the big one.
numbers.
Because I mean, how
They
many?
tear you up.
How many years did it take Donnie to hit 3,000?
It took him almost 7 years to go from 2,900 to 3,000.
Yeah.
And you know, that's what I'll say about numbers. But you know, like after you totaled 25, right?
Or 2485.
2485, so right there 25. You totaled that, and I remember Devin hit his big total, and I remember talking to both of them.
Yeah.
And I told you when I told the first time I told 25,
Yeah.
was the first time I was ever like, man, this ain't funny.
Oh yeah.
And I mean,
He gets to that certain level. It's you honestly you find out what you're made of.
Yeah, you do, because it's not as those numbers goes up, the intensity for what your body, your mind is going through goes up.
Oh yeah.
And I don't care what anybody says, it's a very harmful thing. I think that's why we're always compared to fighters.
Yeah.
Like, we're not fighters in any way. We don't beat people up for a living in any shape, way, form, or fashion. But we are always in combat with ourselves or pushing ourselves in a different way.
Yeah.
That's the same thing a fighter does.
Yeah.
Just they're looking at an opponent, and we're looking in the mirror, really.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. Yeah, most people just they just never see that side of it. I don't know. That's
out of the 3 lifts, what's your favorite lift?
I've grown to hate the squat.
That's my favorite. I love the squat.
I mean, it just nothing's more brutal on the body than a really heavy squat.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says. Like, it tears you new.
Yeah.
And it can be really scary putting that much weight on your back.
Yeah.
You know, if you deadlift it and it goes wrong,
You just let it go.
your hand go.
Yeah.
You know, 2 seconds. If your squat goes wrong,
Yeah.
You could be going down with 1,200 pounds on your back.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, people just cannot. You say, we've said it 100 times. You say, man, some kid or somebody squatted 600 pounds.
Yeah.
People are like, oh my God. And you say, yeah, I squatted 1,200 pounds.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's good. And it's just, they can't even fathom.
Yeah. Yeah. It don't register.
Then the truth is, 1,000 pounds is enough to crush the bones of the average man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's just no getting around 1,000 pounds to kill the average man.
And even though we've been doing this so long, and our bodies have adapted to handling that weight, it hurts.
It hurts.
It hurts.
You're never gonna have an easy day. Like, even when you're your strongest, you're gonna be like, man, 900 felt heavy today.
Yeah.
Or 1,000 felt real heavy today. Some days that's not the way it goes, but most days before you hit the platform, everything feels extremely heavy.
Yeah.
And then somehow you put it together on the platform.
Yeah. And then, we'll hit that weight and we'll come out front of it, and we just joke, we're like, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Why would we love it? You said your favorite lift was the.
I'd probably say, I didn't even really answer. I'd probably say deadlift, just because it has seemed to be a lift that defines me just because of my form on it,
Yeah.
and the way people respond to it.
Yeah.
And it has become one of my better lifts, but it's not one I want to be remembered for a total.
Yeah.
I like having a big deadlift, and I like pushing the deadlift because deadlift transfers into strongman.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I want my big total.
Yeah.
I don't want to be remembered for just being a poor guy.
Mhm.
That's because that's not what I've trained my
Yeah,
whole life
yeah.
to be. Just that number, after I went to Westside, that was already like a high 7.
Yeah.
And after I went to Westside, that just catapulted me to the mid-6s.
Yeah.
And then I came home, and that's when I trained to finally hit 9.
Yeah.
And it just it seems to be something I can make history in real quick if I can hold on.
Yeah. Yeah. What would you say is your favorite accessory work movement?
Honestly, before I ever got hurt, behind the head, tricep extensions.
Really?
I used to watch TV for hours with a 25-pound dumbbell when I was a kid,
Mhm.
and I would just sit there and do tricep extensions. It gave me a hellacious workout, lockout as a
Yeah.
kid. Because remember back then, man, we were using those denim shirts.
Yeah.
After they popped you from the chest, you had to have strong triceps.
Oh yeah. Because
They
it
didn't
didn't
know
about
lockout.
literally halfway, not even halfway up.
Their thing was done,
Mhm.
and you had to push. And I got really good at being able to do that lockout because of the denim work,
Mhm.
but also all the behind the head tricep extension. But yeah, that's probably by far my favorite, because I can sit down and watch TV or even just think while I'm doing it.
Yeah.
It's just something that relaxes me.
Yeah. I'd probably always say tricep extensions.
Yeah.
It's just because of the pump you get from it, and it just makes my elbows feel better. Just especially once the blood gets in there.
And fun fact about the human body for all the people out there who curl 24/7, your bicep only makes up to 25% of your upper arm. The other 75% of your arm is your tricep. So if you're spending all day and night curling, not only are you not getting any stronger, you're completely neglecting 75% of your arm.
Boom, knowledge. But yeah, but I think that's about it. And I know there's more adventures we'll get into later, like your whole time at High Tech and all that stuff.
Yeah, this was all done against my will, and I hope that someone saves me soon.
Oh yeah, by the way, he is chained in his chair.
Yeah,
He can't get out.
I hit the table. I hope I hurt this mic.
Yeah. But anyways, it's been fun, and then hopefully a lot of people can get something out of this, and we'll definitely hopefully have a lot more episodes coming your way, and we'll see y'all later on Talking Dirty.